Hi, this is Karen White of Divine Time Astrology, and here is a simple real estate question, and I will show you how it is delineated today and with a short quiz afterwards. In this case, the querent wanted to know if she should wait until certain astrological aspects to her natal chart were passed, or if she should wait until other transits to her natal chart happened in order to make an offer on a house. She had a limited time to make the offer because she was doing a short sale. What's great about horary is that you don't need to worry about transits to your birth chart. If the horary says it's a good idea and that you will make a purchase, then there will automatically be something in the birth chart indicating that it was possible that you would buy some real estate. Horary is a great shortcut, and it tells you all about the specific situation, the specific people, the specific house, and that's not something that you can usually see in a birth chart. Well, actually, you can never see that in the birth chart. So the querent is represented by the sun, because Leo is on the first house cusp, and here's the sun and the sign of Pisces here. And the seller is represented by Saturn because Aquarius is on the seventh house cusp. This is another way that the first and seventh house axis is used in horary, and this is as a buying and selling chart because buyer and seller is a type of relationship. Now the property that she's asking about is the fourth house ruler, and we see here Scorpio on the fourth house cusp, so Mars is the property, and the price for the house is the 10th house ruler, and as we see here it is Venus because Taurus is on the 10th house cusp. So what we have here is what is called a mutual reception. Mars is in the sign of Venus, and Venus is in the sign of Mars, and they're both ruled by each other. This means they strengthen each other. In some real estate questions, say if she was buying a house that was a fixer-upper, then this would be Mars in the sign of Taurus, where he's very weak, would mean that the house was weak. And then Venus, the price for the house being very weak, would mean that the price is fitting the condition of the house. But in this case, it's a new house. She's just buying it from a recent development. It's an investment property. She's going to live in it for a couple of years and then lease it out. This just means that they're reversed. And it's almost like if you were to just switch the signs, and it would show the property's a good one and the price for it is appropriate. The concept of mutual reception will be explored in depth with many examples and contexts in the upcoming course. Okay, the second house is the real estate agent for the querent, and this is Virgo, so that means that Mercury represents the real estate agent. Now, we don't really need the real estate agents involved in this. What we really need to see is an aspect between the querent, the buyer, and the seventh house lord, the seller. But I'm bringing this up for a reason that I'll tell you about later. It's just one of those little things that can verify what's happening to the client. Okay, so the querent, the buyer, is the sun. It's in the sign of Pisces. So this means she is exalting the price for the property, because any planet in the sign of Pisces exalts Venus. So this is a really good price, in her opinion, for the property. Also, because it's in the sign of Pisces, it really likes Mars, and Mars is the property, as we see down here. She wanted to know if she rented it out or flipped it, if she would make much money on it. Well, the profit from the property is shown by the second house from the property, and that would be the radical fifth house, which is the second house from the property, and this is ruled by Jupiter. Well, we go to Jupiter and we see that it's retrograde, so it's weak. It is in a degree which is seen by the table of dignities. All of this, what I've been talking to you about, the signs of the planets and how they feel about each other and what that means, this is all seen in the table of dignities, which we'll get into in depth in the upcoming course. But Jupiter here in this degree that it's at is 21 degrees. So it has no dignity, but it's going to go into its own sign in November of 2018. So if she holds on to the house until then she will get a really nice profit, because when a planet's in its own sign, it's very strong, and the stronger the planet, the more the money. So I advised her to wait until then. And since she is an investor in California, you do need to hold on to a property for 2 years to avoid capital gain taxes and penalties on the profit that she makes. So she bought the house, she made the offer, and the offer was accepted within 3 days. And I'll show you how that is showing in this chart. So we look for an aspect between the buyer and the seller, and we have the sun here representing the querent, the buyer, and then Saturn representing the seller. And we can see, because they are in this compatible signs, meaning they can see each other, because they're both in what are called mutable signs or dual signs, and that is that the sun in 3 degrees worth of time is going to make an aspect to Saturn. Saturn is much slower than the sun, so the sun is the one that is actually applying to Saturn. Well, the aspect here is a square aspect because they're of the same modality, and a square aspect means that there's some difficulty, maybe a little delay, lots of paperwork, just the nature of real estate, because it takes so much effort to buy a house, is described by a square or an opposition aspect. And if you see that in a real estate chart, don't worry about it. It's just typical for real estate. So again, context is everything. So what happened was she made the offer and it was accepted in 3 days. Then the house was closed in 30 days. It was a short sale, so it was really fast. And then she moved in. She's going to wait before she either rents it or sells it. She likes the property and she says it has already increased in value. And the seller, actually, he broke even. When he bought the property, it was during the real estate bubble. The value of it went down compared to what he paid for it. So he was anxious to get rid of it. He didn't want to pay any more on it. Now, a side note that is not important but is interesting. I thought it was interesting because the querent verified it for me later. And that is that the querent's real estate agent, which we determined is Mercury, here's Mercury in the sign of Aries, really didn't like the seller. We don't know why, but she said that he acted very strangely towards the seller throughout the entire transaction. And the seller's planet in the sign of Sagittarius, any planet in the sign of Sagittarius really doesn't like Mercury either. So the two of them did this deal all the while really disliking each other. It could have been just one of those strange personality things, or perhaps they've had encounters with each other in the past. We don't know. But she told me that that was what happened, and it was one of those little details that you may throw out when you're doing a reading for somebody, and then they come back and tell you, hey, you know that thing you told me, it happened. So the answer to her question, should I wait to submit an offer on the property? The answer is no. She didn't need to wait. She didn't need to wait for particular transits to her birth chart. She could go ahead and make the offer because the chart is showing that it was going to be accepted and in a relatively short period of time. And it was. So she bought the house and she's happy with it. Now for the little quiz. Question number 1. What house ruler shows the property in question? Number 2. What house ruler shows the price of the property and whether or not it fits the condition of the house? Number 3. What must happen in order for a sale to be made? And number 4, what house shows the profit from the property, whether it's a rental property or if it's fixed up and sold? So pause the video, jot down your answers, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. How do you think you did? Let's find out. The answers. Number 1, what house ruler shows the property in question? Answer, the 4th house ruler represents the property in question. Number 2, what house ruler shows the price of the property and whether or not it fits the condition of the house? Answer, the 10th house ruler. Because you want to look at that, and you can tell the querent if the house is way overpriced or if they need to act quickly because the price is really low and great. Okay, number 3, what must happen for a sale to be made? Answer, there must be an aspect between the buyer and the seller. And number 4, what house shows the profit from the property, whether it's a rental property or if it's fixed up and sold? Answer, the 5th house ruler, which is the 2nd from the 4th, represents the profit from the property, and the sign that planet is in tells you how much profit there will be. The better the sign the planet is in, or the planet will be in a relatively short period of time, the better the profit. In this case, Jupiter is the 2nd house ruler from the 4th, and it will be in its own sign where it is naturally strong starting November 9th, 2018. This means she needs to wait that long before renting or selling it. In the next video, I'll talk about what you can do with horary astrology that you may not know about, some of horary's history, which you can't do with horary, what horary is suggesting about the nature of reality, and what it means for you as an astrologer if you have this skill. We will be doing more real estate questions in the upcoming online course, Learn Horary Astrology, an in-depth study and practice, which begins on September 6, 2017. Registration will open soon. This has been Karen White of Divine Time Astrology. Thank you for watching, and goodbye until next time.